Great having you. I just want to start by saying that OrdinalsBot is one of our portfolio companies here at London Real Ventures. It's the world's first media-powered investment firm where our mission is to transform the world by investing in cutting-edge Web3 and AI companies while giving our partners marketing exposure across the London Real media platforms and academies. We heighten awareness, create customers, and build communities by leveraging our global audience and extensive network. Toby, we are super excited to be part of this journey with you. So let's jump in. What is OrdinalsBot?
Yeah, so OrdinalsBot was the first inscription service. So essentially, a bit more than a year ago, Ordinals really took off, which is basically an ordinal is effectively an inscription onto the Bitcoin blockchain. So it provides a way for people to store data onto Bitcoin, which is an innovation that was only really possible at the scale that Ordinals have delivered in the last year and a bit through what's known as the Taproot upgrade to Bitcoin, and a bunch of very smart people led by a guy called Casey Rodimer. Basically came up with this concept of ordinals where you could store data onto an individual Satoshi, which is like the cent of a Bitcoin, and that has led to a whole host of different things being stored onto Bitcoin. And we got chatting about censorship beforehand. You've even had like a group storing quite controversially, sort of Julian Assange's war records onto Bitcoin. But there's also, we've been discussing a lot, it made fungible tokens possible on Bitcoin at scale as well. So there's been this huge development of BRC20, and another claim to fame, as well as being the first inscription service at OrdinalsBot. So when we came out, we made it possible for anyone that isn't a programmer to create an ordinal. So our business was I'd say very key in helping ordinals kick off, because when we launched, there were 5,000 ordinals created. A day later, there were 15,000, because you needed to run a Bitcoin node and sequence the ord client, which is basically mapping Bitcoin's history, mapping ordinals history, to be able to create an ordinal. And we just allowed people to do that in a drag and drop, click of a button kind of thing.
Yeah, the SaaS user experience and UI is pretty amazing. People go to your website, OrdinalsBot, it's like right there. You can like drag and drop and create your own ordinals, and it's like software as a service. And like you said, before that, you would have to be kind of really deep in the weeds of Bitcoin to know how to do that.
Yeah. No, we were essentially the first DApp on Ordinals, and or decentralized application, and we were super happy just to see like it just caught off instantly, basically. So,
we'll talk about product market fit happening instantly, because that's an entrepreneur's dream.
Yeah.
But talk to me about Ordinals, because I think you also were part of the Ordi token as well, which has gone now up to the multi-billions of value. This is something that nobody really saw coming. And now Ordinals, I don't know if it's true now, but at one point they passed the total volume of NFTs, I think at one point, as far as traded in the marketplace out there, because they became so big. Can you talk a little bit more about the explosion of Ordinals, why that maybe happened, and what they're being used for?
Yeah, so I think the big driver, and so I got into like the Bitcoin DeFi space, which was a tiny cottage industry really like 3 years ago, just because I felt that like there should be DeFi on Bitcoin. But I guess you need to go back in history and go like almost to Vitalik and the founding of Ethereum. And that was 2015, 2016 era. And very few people know this, but Vitalik was actually the editor of Bitcoin magazine at that time, right? So And what happened, because the whole Ethereum ecosystem and then other blockchains allowed for people to do many more things on Bitcoin than on Bitcoin, I think there was an explosion of innovation across all these other new chains that developed. And Bitcoin, for good and for bad, has a very careful development process. So which I think has been why when innovation on Bitcoin took off, which I'd say like Ordinals was the first time there was a real innovation ecosystem that had product market fit, that just made it very easy for an intelligent programmer to deliver something to the man on the street, right? So that's kind of the seed of condition, the sort of what you need for an innovation ecosystem to take off is it needs to be easy for anyone with sort of an intelligent knowledge of crypto and DeFi to be able to use the thing quite quickly. And until last year, that hadn't happened. I like to think OrdinalsBot played a part in that taking off because we developed an intuitive UI. I think like you say, in around at the same time with BRC20. So we were kind of lucky that because we were one of the few tools around at the time, Domo, who's a very, very visionary thinker, I'd say, came up and went, you can do this meta protocol that was BRC20 to create a fungible token on Bitcoin. And he came to our platform and effectively deployed the Ordi token that, now is worth billions of dollars on our platform. So it's a nice little segue of like Bitcoin history that the most successful fungible token on Bitcoin at the moment has been created on our platform. And we like to think a number of others that have been created on our platform will be that as well. But he effectively deployed the contract, is now advising us. So we're working hand in hand with him to kind of go, where do fungible tokens on Bitcoin go? And so we're super excited about that development. And I think, I guess tying it back to that sort of little piece of history is kind of so many people have kind of love Bitcoin, but there were concerns around like your ability to do so many things that I guess innovators want to do, right? Like a fungible token economy, NFTs, they allow any innovator to finance and create an ecosystem for things to happen. And I think until that was possible at scale on Bitcoin, a lot of the crypto innovators were doing things on other chains because it was just much easier to grow an organization at scale.
Right. So your point is that the only reason Vitalik created Ethereum is because he wanted to do more on Bitcoin, but he couldn't.
Yeah.
And now this is almost coming full circle to where it looks like now you can do things on Bitcoin.
Exactly.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.